Mixed reaction tonight after a former City of Ottawa lawyer who defaced the National Holocaust Memorial is handed a suspended sentence and will serve no additional jail time. Good afternoon. This is CTV News at 5. I'm Stefan. The former City of Ottawa lawyer who defaced the Holocaust War Monument will not serve any more time behind bars. Today, a judge handing down a suspended sentence, angering many in the Jewish community. CTV's Katie Griffin is here with more details. Katie.
Well, Stefan, the judge said Iain Aspenlieder should have known better and found while he was not motivated by hate, his actions caused harm. This is Aspenlieder walking out of court after being released this afternoon. He was sentenced to 152 days of time served, amounting to roughly 5 months of custody. In July, Aspenlieder pleaded guilty to mischief of a war memorial, admitting to splashing blood red paint and writing the words "Feed me" on the Holocaust Monument in June. He says he was making a connection between two tragedies, the murders of 6 million Jewish people and what's currently happening to Palestinian people. Here's what his lawyer had to say after sentencing.
I mean, the judge issued an incredibly thoughtful, well-reasoned, and compassionate decision that I think recognized the harm that was caused by the offense, but also Mr. Aspenlieder's personal circumstances.
A number of groups denouncing the judge's decision, including the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, which says the sentence does not reflect the gravity of what is indeed a hateful act and its impact on the Jewish community, not only in Ottawa, but across Canada. Prominent Ottawa lawyer Lawrence Greenspan, who's also the co-chair of the National Holocaust Monument Committee, says the sentence sends a message of deterrence to others. Aspenlieder is on probation for 2 years, and among the conditions, he must stay away from any Jewish or Israeli institutions. Stefan.
CTV's Katie Griffin reporting live for us. Thank you, Katie.
You're welcome.
Hospitals in our region continue to be inundated with influenza cases as this cold and flu season rages on. For some patients here in Ottawa, the pressure facing hospitals means they're forced to spend time in an old ambulance bay, which has been converted into an area for overflow capacity. CTV's Austin Lee joins us live now with more on this. So, Austin, what are you hearing from health officials?
Well, Stefan, it sounds like influenza cases here in Eastern Ontario have reached a sort of plateau, not continuing to climb. And of course, that is good news to some extent. However, a lot of the hospitals in our region are still facing quite a bit of pressure. Now, you mentioned the old ambulance bay, unofficially called the garage at the Ottawa General Hospital. And a spokesperson tells me that is being utilized. It has space for up to 20 patients. It's an extension of the hospital's overall capacity, and it has been used around this time of year for the past couple of years now. And it points to where things stand with regards to flu-related hospitalizations.
The hospitals are still, at a very, very high level of work and admissions and so on. Up to 10 to 15% of all cases that are even seen in emergency room or admitted are respiratory, and most of them are flu.
Dr. Rumiliotis adds in recent weeks, after messaging that the flu is particularly hitting children quite hard this time around, that health officials in Eastern Ontario are seeing an uptick, almost a twofold uptick, in kids receiving their flu shots. He also adds that the flu season is expected to last until about the spring. And so with that in mind, for anyone who is considering getting their flu shot and has not yet done so, it's not too late. Stefan.
All right, CTV's Austin Lee with this update for us. Thank you, Austin. Turning now to dramatic video capturing the moment a car drove off a bridge in Gatineau and landed on the ice below. Emergency crews were called to the Draveurs Bridge in Gatineau just after 8:15 Saturday morning. Police say 2 vehicles were traveling westbound when one rear-ended the other. That vehicle then lost control, went over the bridge railing, and ended up on the frozen Gatineau River below. The driver was able to get out of the vehicle on his own and did not appear to be injured, but was taken to hospital as a precaution.
I was head of the accident investigation unit for Montreal Police for 5 years. That's the type of thing you can see, because the way these jerseys are made, if you slip the way they're made, like a triangle like that, they can act as a launch pad if you hit them at the proper angle.
The other driver was not hurt. Police say an investigation is now underway and no further details are being released at this time. OC Transpo has pulled some of its new para-Transpo buses after the heat stopped working this winter. The new 7-meter buses were only put in service back in June, but already users are raising concerns and say they feel like their voices aren't being heard. CTV's Leah Larocque joins us live now with more on this story. Leah.
Well, as you said, Stefan, these buses are only a couple of months old, and right now there are currently 41 of them. But already there are issues. The transit service says they are working on HVAC issues, and 5 vehicles had to be pulled after those mechanical defects were discovered. Some Transpo users say recently some of their rides on some of those new 7-meter minibuses have been freezing, and then the driver telling them that that's because the heat isn't working. The problem lasting on for several rides for users. OC Transpo says 5 out of those 41 buses experienced mechanical defects after entering service. They say these issues are not systematic across the fleet. As soon as the heating concerns were found, the vehicles were removed from service.
When are they going to be fixed? Are they going to be fixed for this winter? Or are we going to struggle all winter having to wear 2 coats or whatever, mitts and hats on the bus? You know, if this was a conventional service, there would be public outcry.
Transpo users have also raised other issues about these new buses, including seat belts that jam and don't fit properly, and often there isn't enough room on the ramp to get inside. So the transit service says that heat is a mandatory requirement. And they said on one of those buses, they also found an air conditioning issue. It was identified and repaired. Now, Stefan, all of these repairs are covered under warranty, and there is no additional cost to OC Transpo.
All right, CTV's Leah Larocque with the latest on this. Thank you, Leah. In other news, 1 person is dead following a head-on collision this morning just outside of Kingston. It happened shortly after 11:30 a.m. on Taylor Kidd Boulevard near Coronation Boulevard. Ontario Provincial Police say a passenger in one of the vehicles was pronounced dead at the scene. The 2 drivers were taken to hospital, one with life-threatening injuries and the other as a precaution. The investigation is ongoing. Prime Minister Mark Carney will be heading to China next week. The visit comes on the heels of the Prime Minister's meeting in Paris with Ukraine's allies. The Prime Minister's office says that Carney will travel to China from January 13th to the 17th to, quote, elevate engagement on trade, energy, agriculture, and international security. This will mark the first visit to China by a Canadian Prime Minister since 2017.
Across Ontario, every community will have the same list of materials accepted for collection in their blue box or blue bin.
Coming up on CTV News at 5, a reminder of changes to what can and can't go in the blue bin now that recycling collection is managed by the province. And our Jackie Perez is joining us live in studio with our first look at the forecast. Jackie.
Well, thanks so much, Stefan. If you stepped outside, you might have left your thicker winter coat at home. We're seeing and feeling much warmer temperatures and weather today, and the temperatures are expected to climb by the end of this week. Right now, the temperature is about -3 here in Ottawa, -1 along the Seaway, and also for really most of eastern Ontario. As we look at the overnight lows, well, we're getting down to about -5, cloudy skies, and then tomorrow, yeah, we're going to be above the freezing mark. 2 degrees is going to be our temperature, mainly cloudy skies. We'll have a full look at your forecast in just a bit. Stefan.
Thank you, Jackie. Here's what you need to know. Watch the classic murder mystery Clue come to life on stage this week at the National Arts Centre. The show, put on by Broadway across Canada, is in the capital until Sunday. There are nightly shows as well as weekend matinees. A live check on traffic right now. You can see that in Belfast, around Riverside in the eastbound lanes, things are slow moving at this time. Westbound, there are major delays between Parkdale and Woodruff. There are light backups between the 416 split and Moody Drive. Bronson to the split in the eastbound lanes is where we're seeing some heavy congestion. And on the 174 eastbound, moderate backups between the split and St. Joseph Boulevard. You're watching CTV News at 5.
You're watching CTV News at 5 with Stefan Keys.
Welcome back to CTV News at 5. The first week of January sees most workers back on the job after taking time off for the holidays. But for some, the first week back can feel like a bit of a scramble. New data finds those who took a week off reported spending on average nearly 17 hours preparing or catching up. Today's radio question of the day is asking, do you truly disconnect when you take time off?
I think as humans, we've lost that compassion towards each other. We're all working on deadlines. We just need to have a little bit more compassion. The world You know, you can fall sick tomorrow and the world would continue, but for some reason, if you come back from a vacation, you know, people don't necessarily respect that you just came back.
Christy Cameron is here with more. And Christy, was that the general consensus that we just need more patience with one another?
No, definitely not. This is talk radio. Are you kidding me? No, we try to be compassionate and patient with each other, even though we often have differing opinions on this show. You know that about me. I love to debate, but I like to keep it civil. What I would say is that a lot of people feel the time off tax is real.
Okay.
Whether they think it should be a real thing or not, well, that's kind of where they splintered off. But I would say the vast majority of our listeners feel that they need to dip into work during their time off in some capacity. Maybe not going physically into the office.
Right.
Most people said no, but certainly checking email or doing admin work.
And did they say why is it to spare themselves the overload once they do return? Like that 17 hours of like just playing catch up for 2 days?
100%. They're doing that work before they go on holidays. They're prepping so that when they're off, they can truly be off, or so that when they get back, they don't have to have that inbox anxiety. And I want to point out, I think that's why some companies are trying to overhaul the office culture, where they'll decide, Steph, for this 2-week period in December or January, everybody is off. You know, the clock stops and nobody is in the office. And then that way, nobody feels guilty. Nobody internally is sending email. The company has just hit the pause button.
Right.
Sometimes companies will do that in the summer as well.
No, definitely. The news never stops, Christy.
You know, I call it the vacation guilt.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even your inbox anxiety. It's people around the office that are like, oh, well, look who decided to turn up today. Yeah, it's called paid time off.
I like when my inbox just can't accept any more emails.
I guess that's one way of doing it. I'm clocked out because I'm over my maximum limit.
Right.
Try and reach me. Good luck.
Good luck to you. You can join the conversation and leave a comment through the Talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app, and you can listen live to Christy Cameron on News Talk 580 CFRA weekdays from 2 to 6. Also, watch Christy segments anytime on YouTube. Subscribe to the News Talk 580 CFRA page. New province-wide recycling rules are now in effect for your black and blue bins. Recycling is now managed by the province instead of the city, but there will be no changes to your collection day. The province has shifted the blue bin program to Circular Materials, a nonprofit representing the producers of paper and packaging materials. What can and can't go in your recycling bins is now the same for every municipality across Ontario.
At a province-wide level, probably the biggest change is we're moved to a new unified and expanded material list.
You won't be allowed to throw out beer, wine, and liquor bottles. They could be returned for a refund with the Ontario Deposit Return Program, and batteries have their own separate program for disposal. For the updated list of what you can and can't put in your recycling bins, head to our website, ctvnewsottawa.ca.
They're actually frontline operational roles, a lot of them, and they're really focused on human connection.
Coming up on CTV News at 5, a look at what's expected to be some of the most in-demand jobs in the year ahead. Also, here's what you need to know. The exhibit featuring retro popular music in Canada from the 60s to 80s is coming to an end this month at the Canadian Museum of History. You have until January 18th to check it out. The exhibition includes stage outfits, instruments, and rare memorabilia from the time.
The National Capital Region is jam-packed with incredible experiences you don't want to miss. Hey, I'm Sneha Taylor, your iHeartRadio Weekender, powered by Barhaven Ford. Get the inside scoop on all the biggest and best events every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on CTV, Move 100, Pure Country 94, TSN 1200, and News Talk 580 CFRA. iHeartRadio Weekenders is powered by Barhaven Ford, Ottawa's newest and largest Ford dealership, and Ontario's #1 Ford EV dealer.
Looking fairly chilly out there. After a cold snap kicked off the winter, Ottawa's in for a brief stretch of warmer days. With another check on the weather, let's bring in CTV's Jackie Paris, who is live in studio for us tonight. Jackie.
Well, Stefan, I'm sure many are excited by the warmer temperatures on the way. Good for us, but not so great for the ice conditions on the canal. So the latest update on the NCC website showing Rideau to Bank conditions are good. Dow's Lake conditions are pretty fair. Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Skycam showcasing Parliament Hill and Chateau Laurier, where temperatures sitting around -3 right now. Pretty slushy conditions on the road, and with that wind chill value, it's feeling more like -7. So we had mainly clear skies or cloudy skies today, and that will continue into the overnight and tomorrow. Parts of Kingston, you may perhaps see some slight showers moving in, but it's not sticking around. It is going to be mainly cloudy for our Thursday. And taking a look at the temperatures, a closer look now, temperatures are going to get much warmer, where we will hit above the freezing mark by the time we get into Thursday afternoon. 2 degrees the daytime high, mainly cloudy around 3 p.m. A little bit of that sunshine peeking through, but for the most part, it's going to be a gray day here in the capital. As we look to our friends in the Seaway, -3, mainly cloudy for tomorrow. The daytime high going to about 3 degrees. And then our friends in the valley, daytime high also 2 degrees, but it's still going to be quite chilly, -7 for the overnight lows. Taking a look at the next 5 days, yes, temperatures are going to get much warmer. I had to do a double take when we look at Friday, where the daytime high is going to be 7 degrees, but with it will come up to between 3 to 5 millimeters of rain. And then Saturday, Sunday, we're going to start to get back into the seasonal conditions, where temperatures are going to average between -1 and -2 degrees for the daytime high. So here's a look, Stefan, about our 5-day forecast. While we will have a little bit of a break, it will be mild temperatures for the weekend, but we are anticipating some wet weather to move through for Saturday and Sunday.
All right, sounds good, Jackie. Thank you. Here's a look at the stories you're checking out right now on CTV News Ottawa.ca. We just want to remind everyone to be careful on the roads. We've already reported on a car flying off the Draveurs Bridge in Gatineau and onto the ice below. We reported on a fatal collision in Kingston. And just this afternoon, if you go to our homepage, you can see images of a rollover on Saint Laurent Boulevard. It happened around 3:30 today. Paramedics were in the area responding to that. All of the details are on our website, ctvnewsottawa.ca. But again, just be careful. Drive for the conditions when getting behind the wheel. Coming up for us here on CTV News at 5, a beloved coffee brand partners with the Canadian Olympic and Paralympic committees heading into next month's Winter Games in Italy. Here's what else you need to know. The first 613 flea market of the year is happening this Saturday, January 10th. The popular market will be at the Aberdeen Pavilion from 10 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. Admission is free. If you need gas tonight, one of today's cheapest gas prices can be found at the Pioneer Station on Bank Street in the Gloucester area. Regular gas there is going for 116.3 cents a litre right now. Here's another live check on traffic. You can see that things are slow moving in the eastbound lanes at Riverside. Right now, Nicholas is looking good in both directions. We typically see a slowdown as you approach Parkdale, though, and Parkdale's actually looking quite good at this time. But Woodruff, you're seeing some slowdowns in the westbound lanes there. You're watching CTV News at 5, and we'll be right back.
Get the latest live local breaking news. Sign up now for our morning and evening CTV News Ottawa newsletter. The best local content from CTV News, Your Morning Ottawa, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Get it all in one place. Sign up now at ctvnewsottawa.ca. The CTV News Ottawa newsletter is brought to you in part by CAA Business.
Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam. The temperature right now is -3, and we are expecting a warm-up later this week. Here's what we're working on for 6 o'clock.
The hospitals are still, at a very, very high level of work and admissions and so on.
Pressure on Ottawa's hospital system as flu cases remain high. The Ottawa Hospital is once again using an old ambulance bay to accommodate more patients needing hospital care.
To ICE, get out of Minneapolis.
Minneapolis's mayor and now the governor are speaking out after a U.S. immigration agent fatally shot a woman earlier today. We'll tell you how politicians and the public are responding to the presence of ICE.
Welcome to your new home.
And we introduce you to the grand prize winner of the Chio Dream of a Lifetime lottery. It's her first time seeing her new Minto dream home in person, and we were there. Now, the final 5 other stories we're following today. A Canadian recruitment agency has released a list of the top 15 most in-demand jobs for 2026.
They're actually frontline operational roles, a lot of them, and they're really focused on human connection.
According to the agency, the top 5 job companies will be looking to fill in 2026 are sales associate, administrative assistant, customer service representative, accounting technician, and receptionist. Nurses, pharmacy technicians, and dental assistants are also in the top 15, as well as the position of forklift operator. And as more Canadians return to in-office work, a new report suggests there were fewer vacant offices in Canada last year. According to global commercial real estate and investment firm Coldwell Banker Richard Ellis, the Canadian office vacancy rate dipped for the first time since the pandemic. CBRE says the national vacancy rate was 18% at the end of 2025, down slightly from a year earlier. Ontario Provincial Police have fined a driving instructor for distracted driving this morning on Moody Drive. Police say the driver was seen scrolling on their phone while behind the wheel. The phone was attached to the dashboard. Police issuing a reminder you can never scroll on your phone while driving, even if you are not holding it.
Downhill with a shot fought off the rebound. They score! Dylan Cousins.
The Sens are back in action tonight, hoping for a win after Monday's loss against the Detroit Red Wings on home ice. They're on the road facing the Mammoth in Utah. It's a late game tonight because of the time zone. Puck drop is 9:30 p.m. You can catch the action on TSN. Tim Hortons has signed its first ever partnership with the Canadian Olympic Committee. The deal will last 8 years, with a similar agreement with the Canadian Paralympic Committee set to last 3 years. The partnership means Canadian athletes, coaches, and their families will have Tim Hortons coffee available when they compete in Italy in February. There will also be Olympic branded packaging for items. Each time Canada wins a gold medal, the company says members of its loyalty program will receive special offers. That is CTV News at 5. I'm Stefan Keys. Be sure to join us for CTV News at 6. The yearly edition of National starts now.